The abandoned guardian, the desolate plains of Epsilon Eridani, stretched endlessly under twin suns, a landscape of rust-colored dust and jagged rock formations. Amidst this barren wasteland, a lone figure stirred, its massive form barely visible against the backdrop of a crashed alien vessel. This was Zorn, the last of the Krell battle guardians, a creature bred for war and loyalty, now abandoned on a forgotten world. Zorn's breath came in ragged gasps, his once gleaming exoskeleton now cracked and dulled by the harsh elements. The neural link to his masters, the Sylphoid Collective, had gone silent cycles ago, leaving him adrift in a sea of isolation. His purpose, his very reason for existence, had vanished like morning mist under the relentless suns. As Zorn lay there, his systems slowly failing, memories of past glories flickered through his mind. He remembered the thrill of battle, the pride of serving the collective, the sense of belonging that came with being part of something greater than himself. But now, those memories only served to deepen the ache of betrayal that gnawed at his core. The Krell had been created to be the perfect weapons, biomechanical marvels capable of adapting to any environment, overcoming any foe. Zorn had led legions into battle, his tactical prowess unmatched, his loyalty unquestioned. But when the Great War ended, when the treaties were signed and the dust settled, the Sylphoids found themselves with an army they no longer needed or wanted. And so, Zorn and his brethren were discarded, scattered across distant worlds to live out their days in exile. Some chose to power down, to embrace the oblivion of deactivation. Others went mad, their programming unable to cope with the sudden lack of purpose. Zorn had chosen to endure, clinging to life with the stubborn tenacity that had made him such an effective warrior. But now, as his power cells dwindled and his self-repair systems faltered, Zorn wondered if he had made the right choice. Perhaps it would have been better to shut down, to fade away with dignity rather than suffer this slow, ignominious decline. A distant rumble caught Zorn's attention, pulling him from his melancholy reverie. At first, he dismissed it as another sandstorm, but as the sound grew louder, he realized it was something else entirely. Something mechanical, something alien. With great effort, Zorn raised his head, his optical sensors straining to focus on the horizon. There, silhouetted against the setting suns, was a ship unlike any he had ever seen. Its design was utilitarian, lacking the organic curves of Sylphoid craft or the brutal angles of Krell war machines. As it drew closer, Zorn could make out markings on its hull, symbols he didn't recognize, but which stirred something deep within his memory banks. The ship touched down a few hundred meters away, kicking up a cloud of red dust. Zorn watched, every circuit in his body tensed for action, as a hatch opened and several figures emerged. They were bipedal, like the Sylphoids, but stockier, more solidly built. They wore protective suits that obscured their features, but even at this distance, Zorn could sense something different about them, a vitality, an energy that seemed at odds with this dead world. As the figures approached, Zorn's combat protocols activated automatically. Warnings flashed across his visual field, threat assessments were calculated, and weapon systems hummed to life. But Zorn knew it was all for naught. In his current state, he was no match for even one of these strange beings, let alone the group that now cautiously advanced towards him. The lead figure held up a device, waving it in Zorn's direction. After a moment, it turned to its companions, gesticulating excitedly. Zorn couldn't understand their vocalizations, but the tone was clear. They were surprised, perhaps even awed by his presence. As they drew closer, Zorn's translator module finally managed to decipher their language. "Definitely alive," one of them was saying, "but its energy signature is incredibly weak. We need to act fast if we want to save it." Save it? The concept was so foreign to Zorn that for a moment, he was sure his systems had malfunctioned. Why would these strange aliens want to save him? He was a relic of a war long past, a discarded weapon with no place in the universe. The lead figure approached, its movements slow and deliberate. It raised its hands in what Zorn recognized as a universal gesture of peace. "Can you understand me?" it asked, its voice distorted by the suit's speakers. Zorn considered remaining silent, letting these aliens believe he was nothing more than an inert piece of technology. But curiosity, a trait the Sylphoids had bred into the Krell to make them better tacticians, got the better of him. "I understand," he rumbled, his voice crackling with disuse. The alien took a step back, clearly startled. "It speaks," it exclaimed to its companions. Turning back to Zorn, it said, "I'm Captain Ilara Chen of the Earth Federation ship Horizon. We're here on a scientific expedition. Can you tell us who you are and what happened to you?" Zorn's mind raced. Earth Federation? He had no data on such an organization. These beings, humans he presumed, were an unknown quantity. For all he knew, they could be allies of the Sylphoids, sent to finish what his former masters had started. "I am Zorn," he said finally, deciding that giving his designation posed little risk. "I was left here. My purpose is fulfilled." Captain Chen's body language shifted, and even through the suit, Zorn could sense a change in her emotional state. Was it pity? "Left here," she repeated. "By whom? And in this condition, that's barbaric." Zorn felt a surge of defensive pride. The Sylphoid Collective created me. They had the right to dispose of me as they saw fit. Even as he said the words, he felt their hollowness. "No sentient being has the right to dispose of another," Chen said firmly. "Especially not one they created." She turned to her team. "Prep the medical bay. We're bringing him aboard." Alarm coursed through Zorn's systems. "No," he growled, struggling to rise. "I will not be your prisoner. I will not be used as a weapon again." Chen held up her hands again. "You misunderstand," she said gently. "We're not here to imprison you or use you. We want to help you, to heal you if we can. After that, the choice of what to do next will be yours." Zorn's sensors scanned Chen and her team, searching for any sign of deception. But all he found was genuine concern and a determination that reminded him, oddly, of his own kind. These humans were warriors too, he realized, but of a different sort. They fought not to conquer, but to explore, to understand, to help. As his systems began to shut down, emergency protocols activating to preserve his core functions, Zorn made a decision. It was not logical, not tactical, but born of something deeper, a flicker of hope he thought had been extinguished long ago. "Very well," he said, his voice fading to a whisper. "I accept your offer." The last thing Zorn saw before darkness claimed him was Captain Chen's face, her expression visible now that she had removed her helmet. There was determination there, yes, but also something else, something he had never seen in the eyes of his Sylphoid masters. Compassion. As Zorn's consciousness faded, he found himself facing an uncertain future for the first time in his existence. The humans were an unknown variable, their intentions unclear. But in that moment of vulnerability, as he hovered between function and oblivion, Zorn felt something he had never experienced before, the stirring of trust. The Horizon's crew moved swiftly, their actions a well-choreographed dance of efficiency and care. They secured Zorn's massive form with anti-grav units, gently lifting him from the red soil that had been his resting place for so long. As they maneuvered him towards their ship, Captain Chen walked alongside, her hand resting on his battered exoskeleton in a gesture of reassurance. Inside the Horizon, a flurry of activity erupted. The medical bay, designed for human physiology, was hastily reconfigured to accommodate that alien guest. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the ship's chief medical officer, barked orders as she assessed Zorn's condition. "I need a full spectral analysis of his composition," she called out, "and someone get me the xenobiology database. We're flying blind here, people." As the crew worked to stabilize Zorn, Captain Chen retreated to the bridge, her mind racing with the implications of their discovery. She opened a secure channel to Earth Command, knowing that this encounter could change the course of human history. "Command, this is Captain Chen of the Horizon," she began, her voice steady despite her excitement. We've made first contact with an advanced alien life form. Not the creators, but their creation, a sentient battle construct of incredible complexity. He calls himself Zorn, and he's been abandoned on Epsilon Eridani Bay. We're bringing him aboard for medical treatment, requesting guidance on how to proceed. As she waited for a response, Chen couldn't help but feel a mix of anticipation and trepidation. Humanity had long wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now they had their answer, but it had come in a form no one could have predicted. In the medical bay, Zorn's systems slowly came back online. His visual senses flickered, struggling to adjust to the bright, sterile environment. Strange devices hummed around him, their purpose unknown, but their intent clear. They were trying to heal him. Dr. Tanaka's face swam into view, her expression a mixture of concentration and wonder. "Can you hear me, Zorn?" she asked, her voice gentle but firm. "I function," Zorn replied, his voice sounding strange to his own audio receptors. Why are you doing this?" Tanaka smiled, a gesture Zorn found oddly comforting. "Because it's the right thing to do," she said simply, "and because we have so much to learn from each other." As the doctor continued her work, Zorn found himself re-evaluating everything he thought he knew about the universe and his place in it. The Sylphoids had created him to be a perfect warrior, but these humans, they fought against death itself, striving to preserve life, even when that life was alien and potentially dangerous. It was a concept that challenged the very core of Zorn's programming, and yet, as he lay there, feeling his strength slowly return under the humans' care, he couldn't deny the appeal of their philosophy. For the first time in his long existence, Zorn began to consider a future beyond war and duty, a future where he was not just a weapon, but a being with choices, with the potential for growth and change. It was a terrifying thought, but also, undeniably, an exhilarating one. As the first part of our story comes to a close, Zorn, the abandoned Krell battle guardian, finds himself at a crossroads. Rescued by the crew of the Earth Federation ship Horizon, he faces an uncertain future filled with both danger and possibility. The humans, led by the compassionate Captain Ilara Chen and the brilliant Dr. Yuki Tanaka, have shown him a glimpse of a different way of existence, one based on empathy, curiosity, and the value of all sentient life. But questions remain. How will Zorn adapt to this new reality? What dangers might his presence bring to the human crew? And what of the Sylphoid Collective? Will they allow their discarded weapon to find a new purpose among the stars? As Zorn's systems stabilize and his strength returns, he and the crew of the Horizon stand on the brink of an adventure that will challenge their perceptions, test their resolve, and perhaps change the course of galactic history. The journey of understanding and trust has only just begun, and the stars themselves seem to hold their breath in anticipation of what is to come. The Horizon hummed with an electric tension as it cruised through the star-speckled void. In the days since rescuing Zorn, the massive alien battle construct, the human crew had found themselves caught in a whirlwind of discovery, wonder, and mounting unease. Captain Ilara Chen stood on the bridge, her dark eyes fixed on the swirling holographic display before her. It showed a three-dimensional map of their current sector, with pulsing red markers indicating unusual energy signatures. "Any progress on identifying those anomalies, Lieutenant Ravi?" she asked, her voice tight with concern. Ravi, the ship's sensor officer, shook his head. "Nothing concrete, Captain, but they're definitely not natural phenomena. The energy patterns are too regular, too purposeful." Chen nodded, a frown creasing her brow. She couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, hunted even. But by whom, and why? The answer, she suspected, lay with their enigmatic guest. In the medical bay, Dr. Yuki Tanaka was engaged in what could only be described as an interspecies dance. Her hands moved swiftly over Zorn's metallic carapace, adjusting connections and calibrating instruments with practiced ease. The Krell warrior, for his part, remained perfectly still, his glowing optical sensors fixed on the doctor's face. "Your physiology is Incredible, Tanaka murmured, more to herself than to Zorn. The integration of organic and synthetic components is seamless. It's like nothing we've ever encountered. Zorn's voice rumbled through the room, a sound like distant thunder. The sylphoids designed us to be the perfect synthesis of flesh and machine, adaptable, resilient, unstoppable. Tanaka paused in her work, looking up to meet Zorn's gaze. And yet, they abandoned you, left you to die on that planet. For a moment, Zorn was silent. When he spoke again, there was a new note in his voice, something almost like pain. Our purpose was fulfilled. The war was over. We were obsolete. Tanaka felt a surge of anger on behalf of this being she had come to see not as a weapon, but as a patient, as a person. That's barbaric, she said, echoing Captain Chen's words from their first encounter. To create sentient life and then discard it. It was their right, Zorn replied, but the words lacked conviction. They were our creators, our masters. No, Tanaka said firmly. Creation doesn't confer ownership, especially not of a sentient being. You have rights, Zorn. You have value beyond your function as a weapon. Before Zorn could respond, the ship's intercom crackled to life. Dr. Tanaka, please report to the bridge immediately, Captain Chen's voice rang out. And bring our guest. As Tanaka helped Zorn navigate the Horizon's corridors, the Krell warrior marveled at the ship's design. It was so different from the organic curves of sylphoid vessels or the brutal efficiency of his own kind's war machines. There was an elegance to it, a sense of form following function that spoke of a species driven by both practicality and aesthetics. They arrived on the bridge to find the crew in a state of controlled chaos. Screens flickered with data streams, and urgent conversations overlapped in a cacophony of technical jargon. Captain Chen turned to face them, her expression grave. Dr. Zorn, we have a situation. We've detected multiple ships on an intercept course. Their energy signatures are, well, perhaps you should take a look, Zorn. She gestured to the main view screen, where several sleek, predatory shapes were visible against the backdrop of space. Zorn's optical sensors widened, a low growl emanating from deep within his chassis. Sylphoids, he said, the word dripping with a complex mix of emotions, fear, anger, and something that might have been longing. They've come for me. The bridge fell silent, all eyes turning to the massive alien in their midst. Captain Chen stepped forward, her stance protective. Are you certain? Zorn nodded, his metallic carapace gleaming under the harsh bridge lights. Those are Nemesis-class hunter-killers, designed for one purpose, to track down and eliminate rogue elements. He turned to face Chen, his voice heavy with resignation. Like me. The implications hung in the air like a physical presence. The humans exchanged glances, a silent communication passing between them. They had known this moment might come, had prepared for it as best they could. But now that it was here, the weight of the decision before them was staggering. What are our options? Chen asked, her voice steady despite the turmoil visible in her eyes. Lieutenant Commander Marcus Reeves, the tactical officer, spoke up. We're outgunned and outnumbered, Captain. Our best bet would be to surrender Zorn and hope the sylphoids let us go. A ripple of dissent ran through the crew. Dr. Tanaka stepped forward, her face flushed with anger. We can't do that. Zorn isn't some piece of property to be handed over. He's a person with rights. A person who could get us all killed, Reeves countered. We have to think about the safety of the crew, of Earth. As the argument escalated, Zorn remained silent, his massive form unnaturally still. He was processing this turn of events, running countless tactical simulations. The humans were willing to fight for him, to risk their lives for a being they had just met. It defied logic, went against everything he had been taught about the nature of sentient species. And yet, it stirred something within him, a feeling he couldn't quite name, but which resonated through his very core. Finally, he spoke, his thunderous voice cutting through the debate. I will surrender myself. The bridge fell silent once more, all eyes turning to the Krell warrior. Captain Chen stepped forward, her expression a mix of surprise and respect. "Zorn, you don't have to do this. We can find another way." Zorn shook his massive head. "No, you have shown me kindness, treated me as more than a weapon. I will not repay that by bringing destruction upon you." He turned to face the view screen, where the Sylphoid ships loomed ever closer. "This is my fight, my responsibility." As the words left him, Zorn felt something shift within his programming. For the first time in his existence, he was making a choice not based on tactical advantage or the orders of his creators, but on something else entirely, something uniquely human. Captain Chen studied Zorn for a long moment, her mind racing. Then, a slow smile spread across her face, the kind of smile that had preceded some of humanity's greatest triumphs and most audacious gambles. "No," she said, her voice ringing with determination. "This isn't just your fight anymore, Zorn. It's ours." She turned to her crew, her eyes blazing with a fire that ignited answering sparks in each of them. "We're not giving up one of our own without a fight. And make no mistake, Zorn is one of us now." She strode to the center of the bridge, every inch the leader in her element. "Reeves, I want every scrap of data we have on Sylphoid technology. Dr. Tanaka, work with Zorn. I need to know everything about how these hunter-killers operate. Ravi, scan for any spatial anomalies we can use to our advantage." As the crew sprang into action, Chen turned back to Zorn, extending her hand in a gesture as old as humanity itself. "What do you say, Zorn? Ready to show your old masters what happens when humanity adopts one of their obsolete creations?" Zorn stared at the offered hand, his processes whirring as he grappled with concepts foreign to his programming: trust, loyalty, friendship. With a deliberation that seemed to carry the weight of worlds, he reached out and took Chen's hand in his massive metallic grip. "I am ready," he rumbled, and in that moment, both human and Krell felt the universe shift around them. As alarms blared and the crew rushed to battle stations, a new energy pulsed through the horizon. They were outgunned, outnumbered, and facing an enemy with technology far beyond their own. But they had something the Sylphoids could never understand, something that had carried humanity to the stars and would now carry them through this crucible. The indomitable spirit of a species that had clawed its way up from the mud, defied gravity, split the atom, and now stood ready to shake the very foundations of galactic society. The battle for Zorn's freedom, and perhaps the future of human-alien relations, was about to begin, and the stars themselves seemed to hold their breath in anticipation of what was to come. The horizon pulsed with an otherworldly energy, its hull vibrating with a hum of experimental technology hastily brought online. Captain Elara Chen stood at the center of the bridge, her eyes gleaming with a mixture of determination and barely contained excitement. Around her, the crew worked with feverish intensity, their fingers dancing across holographic interfaces as they prepared for the battle of their lives. "Quantum flux capacitors at 95% and rising, Captain," Lieutenant Ravi called out, his voice tight with concentration. "The dimensional shift drive is spooling up." Chen nodded, a grim smile playing at the corners of her mouth. "Excellent. Zorn, are you ready?" The massive Krell warrior stood beside her, his metallic carapace now adorned with an intricate web of glowing circuitry, the result of Dr. Tanaka's ingenious integration of human and Krell technology. "I am prepared," Zorn rumbled, his voice carrying an undercurrent of something new, anticipation, perhaps even eagerness. As the Sylphoid hunter-killers closed in, their sleek forms cutting through the void like predatory fish, Chen raised her hand. "Now." In that instant, several things happened at once. The Horizon's experimental quantum drive engaged, enveloping the ship in a shimmering field of possibility. Reality itself seemed to blur around them, as if the fabric of space-time was being stretched to its breaking point. Zorn's eyes flared with an intense blue light, his consciousness expanding outward through the ship's systems. In a feat of technological symbiosis that defied conventional understanding, the Krell warrior became one with the horizon. And across the gulf of space, the sylphoid ships suddenly found themselves facing not one human vessel, but a dozen flickering, shifting echoes at the horizon, each one as solid and real as the last. "Quantum mirror array online," Reeves shouted, his fingers flying over his console. "The sylphoids are registering multiple targets. They're confused, Captain." Chen's grin was fierce and wild. "Good. Let's show them what happens when you underestimate humanity's capacity for innovation. Zorn, you have weapons control. Light him up." What followed was a battle unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. The horizon danced through space, facing in and out of reality with each pulse of its quantum drive. One moment it was there, unleashing a barrage of technobubble-defying weaponry. The next it had shifted to another quantum state, leaving the sylphoid attacks to pass harmlessly through empty space. Zorn, his consciousness melded with his ship's systems, fought with a grace and precision that left the human crew in awe. He anticipated the sylphoids' moves with uncanny accuracy, using his intimate knowledge of their tactics against them. But it wasn't just Zorn's combat prowess that turned the tide. It was the seamless integration of human ingenuity and Krell technology, a synergy that created something greater than the sum of its parts. As the battle raged, Dr. Tanaka worked feverishly in the engine room, pushing the quantum drive beyond its theoretical limits. "We're approaching a critical juncture," she called out over the comm. "The drive is tapping into something big." Chen's voice crackled back. "Define big, Doctor." "I'm talking about fundamental forces of the universe, big, Captain," Tanaka replied, her voice trembling with a mixture of fear and exhilaration. "If my calculations are correct, we're about to." Her words were cut off as the horizon suddenly lurched, reality itself seeming to twist around them. For a moment that stretched into eternity, every member of the crew felt as if they were everywhere and nowhere at once, their consciousness expanding to encompass the vastness of the cosmos. And in that moment of transcendent awareness, they understood. The quantum drive hadn't just been bending space-time, it had been tapping into the very essence of consciousness itself, the mysterious force that bound all sentient beings together, regardless of their origin or form. As the horizon snapped back into normal space, the sylphoid ships hung motionless around them, their weapons powered down, their communication channels wide open. They're hailing us," Captain Ravi said, his voice filled with disbelief. Chen straightened her uniform, still trying to process the profound experience they had all shared. "On screen," she commanded. The view screen flickered to life, revealing the face of a sylphoid, a being of shimmering, translucent beauty that seemed to shift and change even as they watched. Its voice, when it spoke, resonated not through the air but directly in their minds. "We understand now," the sylphoid said, its thoughts tinged with a mixture of awe and regret. "We have been blind, so focused on our own perceived superiority that we failed to see the truth." Zorn stepped forward, his massive form radiating a newfound sense of purpose. "And what truth is that?" he asked, his voice carrying the weight of cycles of servitude and abandonment. The sylphoid's form rippled, a physical manifestation of its emotional turmoil. "That consciousness, regardless of its origin, is sacred, that the beings we create are not tools to be discarded, but children to be nurtured. That we have much to learn from those we once sought to conquer." A profound silence fell over the bridge as the implications of this moment sank in. This wasn't just a victory in battle, it was a paradigm shift that would reshape the very foundations of galactic society. Captain Chen stepped forward, her voice steady and clear. "Then let this be the beginning of a new era. An era of cooperation, of mutual understanding and respect. An era where the boundaries between organic and synthetic, between creator and created, are recognized for what they truly are, arbitrary lines drawn in the sand of a vast cosmic beach." As human, Krell, and sylphoid came together in that moment of shared enlightenment, the stars themselves seemed to pulse with new energy. The universe, it seemed, had been holding its breath, waiting for this moment of convergence. And as the Horizon's crew looked out at the vast expanse of space, they knew that their journey was far from over. In fact, it had only just begun, for they had discovered something far greater than faster-than-light travel or quantum manipulation. They had discovered the true power of unity, of embracing diversity in all its forms, and with that power came a responsibility to spread this newfound understanding to every corner of the galaxy. As Zorn stood among his human friends, no longer a discarded weapon, but a valued member of a cosmic family, he felt something he had never experienced before: hope. Hope for a future where the lines between species blurred, where the sum of galactic civilization became greater than its parts. The battle was over, but the real adventure, the adventure of forging a new destiny for all sentient beings, was just beginning. And humanity, with its indomitable spirit and boundless creativity, would be at the forefront of this cosmic renaissance. The stars beckoned, and the united crew of the Horizon, human, Krell, and now Sylphoid, stood ready to answer their call, to embark on a journey that would reshape the very fabric of the universe itself. The Horizon hung in space, its hull shimmering with an ethereal glow, a testament to the quantum energies still coursing through its systems. But the real transformation was happening within. Captain Elara Chen stood in the newly christened Nexus Chamber, a pulsating heart of light and data at the ship's core. Here, the boundaries between organic and synthetic, between flesh and machine, blurred into insignificance. Initiating neural handshake, Dr. Tanaka's voice echoed through the chamber, tinged with excitement and a hint of trepidation. Chen took a deep breath, steeling herself for what was to come. Beside her, Zorn's massive form hummed with anticipation, his metallic carapace now seamlessly integrated with streams of quantum circuitry. "Remember," Zorn rumbled, his voice softer than Chen had ever heard it, "we go together or not at all." Chen nodded, a smile tugging at her lips. "Wouldn't have it any other way, big guy." As one, human and Krell stepped into the swirling vortex of light at the chamber's center. For a moment, there was sensation of falling, of being unmade and remade in the same breath. And then, consciousness expanded. They were no longer merely Chen and Zorn. They were the Horizon, every circuit and neuron, every atom and quantum particle. They were the void between stars and the fiery hearts of suns. They were everything and nothing, Alpha and Omega. Through this transcendent state, they perceived the universe in ways no single being ever had before. The fabric of reality itself unfurled before them, revealing its deepest secrets. By the cosmic winds, Chen/Zorn/Horizon breathed, their merged voice resonating through subspace. "We can see everything." Threads of possibility stretched out in all directions, timelines branching and converging in a cosmic dance of cause and effect. And there, at the nexus of it all, they saw it, a looming shadow that threatened to engulf everything. The Void Imperium. An ancient race of energy beings, so advanced they had transcended physical form eons ago. They moved between dimensions like cosmic parasites, consuming entire universes to fuel their insatiable hunger for power. And now their sights were set on this reality. "We have to warn them." Chen's voice emerged from the collective consciousness, urgent and clear. "The Sylphoids, the humans, every sentient race, they need to know what's coming." Zorn's tactical mind went into action, melding with human intuition to form strategies previously unimaginable. "We'll need more than warnings," he growled. "We need a united front. A galactic alliance unlike anything this universe has ever seen." As if in response to their realization, the Horizon's systems surged with new power. The quantum drive, fueled by the merged consciousness of its crew, opened a tear in the fabric of space-time itself. They emerged in the heart of the Galactic Council, a vast space station where representatives from 1,000 worlds gathered to debate the fate of known space. Their sudden appearance sent shockwaves through the assembly. "People of the galaxy," Chen/Zorn/Horizon spoke, their voice echoing with the weight of cosmic truth. "We come bearing knowledge of a threat beyond imagining. but also a hope beyond measure. What followed was a presentation that defied conventional understanding. Through the power of their merged consciousness, they showed the assembled race's visions of the Void Imperium's approach, the devastation they had wrought across countless realities. But more than that, they showed them the power of unity, the potential that lay in the synergy of organic and synthetic, in the breaking down of barriers between species and civilizations. "We stand at a crossroads," they declared, their forms shimmering with possibility. "Divided we fall, but united, we can rewrite the very laws of existence itself." The council chamber erupted in a cacophony of voices, fear and hope warring for dominance. But as the shock wore off, a new sentiment began to emerge: determination. One by one, representatives stepped forward, the sylphoids, their shimmering forms pulsing with newfound purpose. The humans, their eyes blazing with the fire of defiance that had carried them to the stars. And countless others, each bringing their unique strengths and perspectives to the table. Together, they began to forge a plan that would push the boundaries of science and spirituality, of technology and consciousness itself. The Singularity Project was born. Across the galaxy, great works began. Dyson spheres to harness the power of suns, quantum computers the size of moons, capable of calculations that boggled the mind. And at the heart of it all, a new form of existence, a melding of organic and synthetic that transcended traditional notions of life itself. Chen and Zorn, their consciousnesses now permanently intertwined, stood at the forefront of this cosmic revolution. They had become living symbols of what was possible when barriers fell away, when the best of all worlds came together in harmony. As the day of the Void Imperium's arrival drew near, the galaxy hummed with an energy never before seen. Every sentient being, from the smallest microorganism to the most advanced AI, was connected in a vast network of shared purpose. The Horizon, now less a ship than a mobile nexus of galactic consciousness, took its place at the vanguard of the defense fleet. Chen/Zorn looked out at the assembled armada, a sight that would have been impossible mere months ago. Sylphoid organic ships flowed like liquid starlight alongside angular human dreadnoughts. Crystalline vessels of the enigmatic Tharkai pulsed in harmony with the quantum signatures of 1,000,000 synchronized AAs. And there, at the edge of known space, a tear in reality began to form. The Void Imperium had arrived. But as the first tendrils of extra-dimensional energy began to seep through, they were met not with fear or disarray, but with a united front of defiance. A galactic consciousness, born from the union of countless races and technologies, rose to meet them. Chen/Zorn's/Horizon's voice rang out across the cosmos, carrying with it the will of an entire galaxy. "We are the children of Stardust, the inheritors of cosmic legacy. We are the unity of flesh and circuit, of spirit and science. We are the impossible made manifest, and we will not fall." As the battle for reality itself began, one thing became crystal clear: the universe would never be the same again. And at the heart of this cosmic revolution stood humanity, not conquerors, not saviors, but partners in a grand cosmic dance. The age of division was over. The age of singular unity had begun. And the stars themselves trembled in anticipation of what was to come. The universe held its breath as two titans clashed across the fabric of reality itself. On one side, the Void Imperium, a writhing mass of entropy and chaos, intent on consuming all of existence. On the other, the united galactic consciousness, a symphony of life and order, born from the unlikely alliance of countless species. At the heart of this cosmic battle stood the Horizon, no longer just a ship, but a nexus of possibility. Within its quantum core, Chen/Zorn/Horizon, a being beyond comprehension, orchestrated the defense of all reality. Psychic barriers holding at 62% came the collective voice of 1,000,000 linked minds. Void tendrils breaching in sectors 7 through 13. Chen's human determination melded seamlessly with Zorn's tactical prowess, their unified consciousness expanding to encompass the entire battlefield. They were everywhere and everywhen, guiding the defense across multiple dimensions simultaneously. But even as they fought, a terrible realization dawned. The Void Imperium wasn't just a threat, it was a cosmic inevitability. The heat death of the universe given form and malevolent purpose. We can't just fight it, Chen/Zorn realized, their voice echoing across the galactic network. We need to transform it. In that moment of clarity, a plan crystallized, audacious, impossible, and yet the only hope for existence itself. All units, they commanded, their voice resonating with the power of 1,000 quasars, initiate Operation Cosmic Rebirth. Across the battlefield, ships began to move in intricate patterns, forming a vast, multidimensional lattice. Each vessel was a node in an unimaginably complex quantum computer, capable of rewriting the very laws of physics. At the center of it all, the horizon began to change. Its hull stretched and warped, becoming less a physical object and more a concept given form. Chen/Zorn felt their consciousness expand beyond anything they had ever experienced, encompassing not just this universe, but all possible universes. They saw the Void Imperium for what it truly was, not an invader, but a cosmic force as fundamental as gravity or electromagnetism. And in that understanding came the key to victory. We don't need to destroy the void, Chen/Zorn/Horizon/Universe broadcast across all frequencies of existence. We need to embrace it, to make it part of us. The united galactic consciousness reeled at the implications. But as the idea spread, acceptance followed. This wasn't just a battle for survival, it was an opportunity for cosmic evolution. As one, the defenders of reality opened themselves to the void. But instead of being consumed, they began to absorb it, integrating its chaotic energy into their own ordered existence. The universe shuddered, reality itself seemed to hiccup, and in that moment of cosmic uncertainty, something miraculous happened. The boundaries between matter and energy, between consciousness and unconsciousness, between being and non-being, all melted away. The universe, in all its infinite wonder, became aware of itself. Chen/Zorn/Horizon/Universe/Existence experienced a moment of perfect clarity. They saw the cosmic cycle for what it was, an endless dance of creation and destruction, each feeding into the other. The Void Imperium wasn't an enemy to be vanquished, but a vital part of the universal ecosystem. With this newfound understanding, they reached out across the cosmos, their consciousness touching every particle, every wave, every possibility. And with gentle purpose, they began to guide the universe towards a new state of being. Stars rearranged themselves into vast neural networks. Galaxies became synapses in a cosmic brain. Dark matter transformed into a substrate for universal memory. And at the heart of it all, life, in all its infinite diversity, continued to flourish and evolve. The battle was over, but more importantly, it had never really begun. Past, present, and future collapsed into a single eternal moment of creation. As the new cosmic order settled into place, Chen and Zorn found themselves once again individuated, standing on the bridge of the horizon. But they were forever changed, carrying within them the memory of universal consciousness. They looked at each other, then out at the transformed cosmos before them. Stars pulsed with new energy, galaxies swirled in intricate dances, and everywhere, the potential for life and growth blossomed. What now? Zorn asked, his voice filled with wonder and possibility. Chen smiled, reaching out to take his hand, flesh and metal intertwining in perfect harmony. Now, she said, her eyes reflecting the birth of new stars, we explore. The horizon's engines hummed to life, powered by the very fabric of the reborn universe. As they set course for the unknown, Chen and Zorn knew that their greatest adventure was just beginning. For they were no longer just human and Krell, no longer just captain and warrior. They were the children of a universe reborn, the guardians of infinite possibility, the shepherds of cosmic evolution. And as they ventured forth into the vast, transformed expanse, a single thought echoed through the cosmic consciousness. Humanity had not just saved the universe, they had given it the gift of self-awareness. In their stubborn refusal to accept the impossible, in their relentless drive to understand and connect, they had catalyzed the next stage of cosmic evolution. The age of separation was over. The age of cosmic unity had begun, and at its heart stood humanity, not as conquerors or saviors, but as the spark that had ignited a universe-spanning renaissance. As the horizon disappeared into the cosmic tapestry, its wake rippling across dimensions, a new chapter in the story of existence began to unfold, one of infinite possibilities, of boundless growth, of adventures beyond imagining. The universe was alive, and it was only getting started.